one of the most powerful and popular, including the youngest African leaders, is Ibrahim Traore, who is feared amongst not just the leaders but also Western oppressors. This is evident in his relationship with external Western bodies like the France military and the rest of them, and he has showed brilliance and bravery in all spheres. In today's video, we'll talk about Ibrahim Traore and how he actually built his magnificent empire and actually became one of the most feared leaders in Africa, and also a very powerful leader at that. Ibrahim Traore was born on the 14th March of 1988 and is a burkinakabe military officer who has been the interim leader of Burkina Faso since the September 2022 coup d'etat that ousted interim president Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba. At age 36, Traore is currently the second youngest serving state leader in the world after Icelandic Prime Minister Kristrún Frostar, and the youngest serving president in the entire world. Ibrahim Traore was born in Kera, Ndukwu, Mohun Province on the 14th of March 1988. After receiving his primary education in Ndukwu, he attended a high school in Bobo, where he was known as being quiet and very talented. From 2006, he studied geology at the University of Ouagadougou. He was part of the Association of Muslim Students and the Marxist Association Nationale des Étudiants du Burkina, which is a Burkina Faso body for education. In the latter, he rose to delegate and became known for defending his classmates in disputes. He graduated from the university with honors. Traore joined the Army of Burkina Faso in 2009 and graduated from the Georges Nomano Military Academy. He was sent to Morocco for anti-aircraft training before being transferred to an infantry unit in Kaya, a town in northern Burkina Faso, promoted to lieutenant in 2014. Traore joined MINUSMA, a United Nations peacekeeping force, involved in the Mali War. In 2018, he was cited as one of the MINUSMA soldiers who showed great courage during the major rebel attacks in Tombouctou region. He subsequently returned to Burkina Faso, where he assisted in operations against escalating jihadist insurgency. Traore fought at Djibo in the Otapano offensive of 2019 and several other counter-insurgency operations in the country's north. He was promoted to captain in 2020. Traore later claimed that he became the solution with the country's leadership around this time, as he saw the widespread lack of equipment of Burkinabe soldiers while politicians were handing out suitcases of money for bribery. He gradually became the spokesman for soldiers stationed in the north who were frustrated over their government. Traore was part of the group of army officers that supported the January 2022 Burkina Faso coup d'etat and brought the patriotic movement for safeguard and restoration military junta to power. From March 2022, he served as the head of an artillery regiment in Kaya. Whether he was ever associated with the Cobra Special Forces, a counter-terrorist unit founded in 2019, is disputed. According to the BBC, Al Jazeera, and various other bodies, he was part of the unit at some point. However, news magazine Jeune Afrique stated that he was never associated with the Cobras. Many supporters of the January coup became dissatisfied with the performance of Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba, the junta's leader, regarding his inability to contain the jihadist insurgency. Traore later claimed that he and other officers had tried to get Damiba to refocus on the rebellion, but eventually opted to overthrow him as his ambitions were diverting away from what we set out to do. The dissatisfaction about the situation was highest among younger officers who fought against the rebels at the front lines. In addition, there were delays in pay for the Cobra troops. When the plotters launched their coup on 30th September, Traore still held the rank of captain. The operation was carried out with support of the Cobra unit. In the direct aftermath of the coup, Traore was chosen as the new head of the patriotic movement for safeguard and restoration. On 6th of October, he also assumed the position of interim president as head of state, supreme head of the armed forces. He initially promised to hold democratic elections in July 2024. As president, Traore had maintained the enigmatic and formal behavior for which was already been known before rising to power. He has kept a tight control on his communication while carefully trying to present himself primarily as a war leader, possibly to avoid the poor public image of his predecessor. His presidency has also seen an increase of pro-government propaganda in burkinakabe, traditional media and social media. Politically, Le Monde journalist Sophie Dus described Traore as influenced by Marxism and Pan-Africanism. In 2023 April, he declared a general mobilization of the population to support the military as rebel forces continued to increase the rate of their attacks. Traore publicly pledged to conquer all rebel-held areas and that there would be no negotiations until the insurgency had been greatly weakened. In the following month, Traore questioned the planned restoration of democracy for 2024, stating that elections could not be held unless the insurgents were pushed back and the security situation had been improved. On 26 September of the same year, the satisfied elements of the military unsuccessfully attempted to overthrow Traore. National consultations were held on 25th and 26th May 2024 to discuss the future of the transition in Burkina Faso. While participants included civil society representatives, most political parties boycotted the consultations. The result was the extension of President Traore's mandate for an additional 5 years, while also allowing him to contest the next presidential election. On 6 December of 2024, he dissolved his government and removed Tambela as prime minister. In November 2023, Burkina Faso's Council of Ministers approved the construction of the country's first gold refinery. This marked a significant development in Burkina Faso's gold sector, aiming to capitalize on the nation's growing gold mining industry. Traore seeks to gain more control over its gain on gold resources by refining gold domestically than exporting unrefined materials. This would increase government revenue and economic benefits from the gold sector. The refinery is set to create 100 new jobs and 5,000 new indirect jobs, with the refinery producing roughly 400 kg of gold daily. In 2024 February, Traore ordered the suspension of the issuance of export permits for small-scale private gold production, a move reportedly aimed at tackling illicit gold trade, which consists of smuggling gold abroad, avoiding taxes and regulations, and cleaning up the artisanal gold sector. This suspension aims to crack down on such activities and ensure that exported gold is properly documented and contributes to government revenue. The government hopes this suspension will establish a more formal and accountable system for exporting small-scale produced gold. Foreign relations shift from France to Russia. In February 2023, his government expelled the French forces assisting in fighting the local insurgency from Burkina Faso. He subsequently declared that they really want to look at other horizons because we want a win-win partnership, supporting the diversification of Burkina Faso's international partnerships. Shortly after, Traore's government expressed support for a federation with Mali and both invited Guinea. All three countries are under military leadership, and if it were to become a union, it would be the largest country ruled by military junta. To replace French military support, Traore forged closer ties to Turkey and Russia. According to Reuters and the New York Times, Traore was suspected of having a connection with Russian mercenary organization Wagner Group due to having expressed anti-French and pro-Russian news. As Traore entered the nation's capital, supporters cheered, some waving Russian flags. The government of Ghana publicly alleged that Traore began collaborating with the Wagner Group following the coup, enlisting the mercenaries against the jihadist rebels. Traore denied this, claiming that our Wagner at the VDP represents the Volunteers for the Defense of the Homeland. On 29 July of 2023, following the 2023 Russia-African Summit, Traore said that the people of his country support Russia and communicated that a decision had been made to reopen the Russian embassy, which was closed in 1992. According to the newspaper, in May 2023, the Traore regime seems for the time being to be favoring the use of its own forces in the fight against jihadists and has not asked Russia's Wagner for help. Russian troops, including the Wagner Group, were eventually deployed in Burkina Faso in January of 2024. Other policies in July 2024, Traore's military junta proposed criminalizing homosexuality. The bill still has to be approved by parliament. In January 2025, he ordered a ban on the wearing of colonial-style wigs by Burkina Faso's judges. If you actually enjoyed this video this far, don't forget to click the red subscribe button and turn on the notification icon so whenever I drop a new video, you'll be the first person to learn and actually learn something new from our videos. Don't forget to share the video with your friends who need to know more about Burkina Faso and how Ibrahim Traore became one of the most powerful leaders in the world at such a young age. And until then, I'll see you in my very next video.